Welcome back folks, and welcome to a new Dragons Dogma 2 video. So today I wanted to talk more about something which I've started seeing more threads about and general discussions as we're getting closer to the release of the game, and that is going to be about the fast travel and travel system in general. So if you're new to Dragons Dogma, if you've never played this game, you have to understand one thing. Fast traveling in this game is not really done in a classical way which you expect, and honestly is not the main point of the game. The point of Dragon's Dogma in general is not going from point A pretty much to point B, doing that content and then going back. No, in the case of Dragon's Dogma, that travel, time which you spend going from that city or a settlement to your quest and doing everything else, in between is going to be that content, it's going to be that journey, and ultimately that's what Dragon's Dogma is about, a journey. So before we start, let me explain how in general fast travel is gonna be working in this game. So in Dragon's Dogma you have two things, you have Portcrystals and fairy stones. So Portcrystals are going to be like, how would I say, these crystals which you place on the ground, and it's going to serve as basically a beacon where you can teleport to. So let's say you went from a city into an abandoned settlement. You finished a quest there and you think, hey, maybe this place is going to be kinda useful for me. So what do? You plant a port crystal. Now getting these port crystals is not going to be easy. They're pretty much all over the map, but they are extremely hidden and there is not that many of them. So once you have the port crystal down, you use a fairy stone, which is another item which is going to cost you pretty much a lot of gold unless you find it to get you to that location. Now besides that, besides the port crystals which you plant, you do have static port crystals which are pretty much the big cities which have that teleportation always on. So if you use a fairy stone, you can go back to the city or go to one of the locations of that port crystal you actually planted. In general, it's not that complicated because this pretty much means that you kinda set where your teleport is going to be, but again, keep in mind all of these things are going to cost a lot. So in general, what you're gonna be doing is you're gonna be going to that quest objective, you're gonna be finishing that quest chain, and then if you want, obviously if that's the story you want, if the quest takes you there, you have to go back to that city again. And as I said, in between those things, you're gonna be fighting various enemies. You're gonna be finding out different locations on the map which can or cannot have some hidden stuff. And that is pretty much, something you should be doing, especially it's that exploration. It's about learning where to go. And one of the good things is, because your pawns learn everything which you go through, your main pawn is going to learn everything that you've seen with your own eyes. So next time you go somewhere, you and your pawn are going to know where you are supposed to go. And for me personally, not having a fast travel option that easily proved to be really cool because it pushes you to explore the map, it pushes you to take everything slowly and plan for things ahead, because it's not easy when you are, let's say, out in the world and there is night. And keep in mind, in Dragon's Dogma, if you're out during the night, prepare to be fighting more enemies than during the day, even stronger enemies depending on where you are. So let's say you are somewhere, it's the dark, you had saved somewhere previously but you don't have a fast travel option. You have to go and find your way back to that location or find a safe spot. Now in the case of Dragon's Dogma 2, that will also be setting up a camp. And because you have to take things slow, you have to take things systematically, it makes you appreciate the world even more. And it's fun because it's not really empty. In that case, there is always going to be, as I said, something to find. So just exploring around is pretty much incentivized. Now, in addition to port crystals and fairy stones in Dragon's Dogma 2, you're also going to have like these ox carts. Now these ox carts are going to be something as in a form of a taxi, but keep in mind one of the things which can happen is that as it's traveling to your destination can be attacked by either a monster or probably bandits. And that means that sometimes you have to fight. So it pretty much tells you that, exploring everywhere and every decision you make, you kinda have to think through, because getting back from that position might be difficult. Now, there is also one more valid point that people have been making so far, and that is backtracking. So let's say you have to go and run through a certain part of the map like 5 to 6 times, because you have to go to a place, go back, oh, there is another mission there, go back again, and do that, a few times. It can get a little bit boring. If you arrive to the point where you're gonna be traveling to like one place 5 to 6 times, then it's the best thing going to be to plant a Portcrystal, which you can most likely, if it's going to be the same as in Dragons Dogma 1, remove later. But again, personally, being that Gothic is one of my favorite games of all time, which doesn't really give you any sort of a fast travel option until later in the game, I had to go and backtrack through various areas multiple times, so honestly it doesn't matter for me because I get to learn the map even more. But again, you shouldn't really worry and fixate yourself on the lack of a classical fast travel system, because the game is again designed in a way where I say journey is what matters, and having that journey throughout the map without the ability to just blink somewhere is honestly pretty good, and it's going to be how the game was again designed in the first place. So definitely take your time as you're going throughout the game. When you find a new location in this game, just keep in mind, take it slowly, explore everything, see if you can gather some new quests or something like that before moving on. Because if you just continue to just bomb through the game fast and you try to basically speedrun it, you're gonna be missing a lot of stuff, and by a lot I mean a lot. And it also helps because most of the time when you have, now I'm not saying all of the time, but some of the time, like for example with Ubisoft games, you have fast travel options, that's not going to be an issue, but in between of those like locations, you don't have that many things happen, or if you do, it's not substantial. And that's why people are afraid, oh, am I gonna get basically bored? And I think that boredom is probably one of the biggest fears when it comes to this, but don't worry. Every single time you go out and explore and you come back, there is always going to be something to fight and something to find. So in the end, my advice to you is don't worry about this. Once you go into the game, especially if you never played it before, you're going to love this system, and I'm gonna tell you why after the game comes out, because you have to play it to understand why. Honestly, I don't like how today's games are designed in general. Having, a lot of fast travel systems, it pretty much skips a lot of gameplay, and I know that if people have that option, they're going to use it. Now, of course, you can have the argument and say, well, what if people don't use it? Isn't it better that you can just provide an optional fast travel? Not in this game. Not in this game, because the game relies on you that way. You're gonna be farming levels this way, and you're gonna be farming items and your vocation this way. That's pretty much how it works and how it's designed. So just relax and enjoy, because we're getting closer to the release of Dragons Dogma 2. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about it in general, what do you think about this topic when it comes to DD1 and now upcoming DD2. And of course, clicking that like and subscribe button will be appreciated, and huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out. I will see you in the next video very soon, because we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Dragons Dogma 2. Alright, see ya.